Hello and welcome. This is James Blanchard Cisneros at your service. Today I will be reading the December 5th Facebook post, and I will be making a few comments on it, and I trust that it will assist both of us on our journeys. If you find the video helpful, please be so kind as to give it a thumbs up, comment on it, share it. It helps with the listening process, and it can help somebody find this video someday who can use the information. Thank you for that. Here we go. Freedom through forgiveness of self. If we desire true freedom, we must first free ourselves from our own judgments. Today we finally decide to look deep into the mirror and see before us the miracles that we are, the gift that this life is. It is only then that we will begin to value forgiving ourselves more than the act of judging ourselves. Today we consciously choose to no longer, through self-judgment, imprison ourselves within our own minds. No longer do we allow our own judgments to become our jailers. We have been gifted life. Let us recall what a gift each breath truly is. Each breath we take is a gift from God, a reminder from Him that we are greatly needed on this planet right now. For if we were needed somewhere else, then somewhere else we would be. Today we're going to talk about a little bit about self-forgiveness, forgiving of self. But first let's just talk about forgiveness by itself. Let's divide it into, say, 3 levels. A higher level, a middle level, and a lower level. There's no such thing as levels, but just to help the mind out. At this highest level, there's God. And God is love, and love is all. Thus there's no opposition to all. There's no opposition to love. There's no opposition to God. And so judgment does not exist at this level. And so if judgment does not exist, the need for forgiveness does not exist, because only love is true at this level. Now we take a level down, so to speak, at a middle level. And in this middle level, we still have a memory of that higher level. And we use forgiveness at this level to heal whatever judgments the ego makes. The ego can color a judgment in 200 different ways, 1,000 different ways. But we know, because all judgments are not real, because we still have the memory of the higher level, we know that all these judgments, no matter how different they look like, they're not real. But we use the tool of forgiveness to remind us of that. And so when any tool, any way of the ego paints judgment or self-judgment, we use forgiveness, and it is dissolved, it is gone. Because we know that forgiveness is the tool we're using, that we have been gifted by God to use at this level of duality to release ourselves from every illusion, from every judgment, from every self-judgment. And so all we need is forgiveness. That's it. One forgiveness. I forgive this, forgive that, they're all gone. So that's basically the middle level. Then we go to a little bit of a lower level. In this lower level of duality, there's a judgment happens, and then you have to find a solution of forgiveness, a way to forgive this illusion. So each judgment has its own different way of forgiveness to heal it. And so the ego serves 10 different judgments of others or self. And then you have to find 10 different ways of forgiving those 10 different judgments. And so as you see, it becomes kind of exhausting, because once you forgive those 10, then another 10 pop up. Because the ego's illusions are numerous. They can come in many, many, many forms. And at this lower level, you think you have to forgive a certain way to get rid of that issue. And so you think you have to forgive Nancy by saying, no, everything's okay, you forgive her. Then Jen, she did something else that's even worse than Nancy, so you have to find another way to use forgiveness to heal that, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. Now, let us remember that in truth all these judgments are the same, because all these judgments are not real. So illusions, no matter what they look like, are illusions. They're not real. But at this lower level, we think they're real, so we have to figure out a way to twist forgiveness around to heal that judgment. Okay, that's a little talk about forgiveness. Now, self-forgiveness. Self-forgiveness. Depending on the level that you're at, let's lift our level today, and let's say that we remember that this journey we have created, we have co-created it with God. So God and you created your journey. Therefore, your journey is perfect, sacred, and individualized to you. So each step on the way, whatever your level, you are at your highest level, no matter where you're at. So wherever you made the decision that you judge yourself for, you are at your highest level of consciousness. So you made the best decision possible with the information and knowledge you had available to you at that time. And so if you made the best decision possible, then you can start understanding why self-forgiveness is available to you. Because you simply made the best decision possible with the tools you had available to you at that time. And you do that in every step, every moment of your life. Every moment of your life, you're increasing your level of consciousness. But every moment of your life, you're still at your highest level of consciousness at that moment. And so you're always making the best decision possible with the tools you have available to you. And so if you're doing that, there's no need to judge yourself, because you simply did the best you could. And God understands that. And as soon as you unite with that thought of God, with God, then you start to be able to forgive yourself easier. Equally so, in your present self, when it looks at your past self, that past self that is holding on to self-judgments, it is only because your past self went through that experience that you now have become your present or knowledgeable self. And so this past self helps you become this person who you are today. And so what else but gratitude can you have to your past self? And so instead of holding on to the self-judgments of yourself, forgive your past self. Because as we said before, your past self did the best they could with the knowledge they had available to them at the time. Plus, your past self has gone through a process, a life experience that has helped you become who you are today, a more knowledgeable, wise, peaceful being. And so let us thank our past self for that. And third, just remind yourself, whenever you're using self-judgment, whenever you're thinking these kind of thoughts towards yourself, remember that you have co-created your journey with God, that you're always at your highest level of consciousness, that God is love, that God wants love for you. And there's many expressions of love, such as peace, compassion, kindness, understanding. And this is all that God wants for you. And so when you align yourself, when you move to a higher level, and you align yourself with the God thinking, then you want to offer yourself peace. Naturally, you want to offer yourself peace, compassion, understanding, kindness. Not only to your past self, but to your present self. And not only to your present self, but also to your future self. And so self-forgiveness becomes much easier at that level of understanding. When you know that God only loves you, that God only wants peace for you, that God knows that you're going to make it to Him in your own sacred time and place and way. And so God has no need for judgment. Only the ego's illusion has you programmed with the idea of judgment and self-judgment. But little by little, you start understanding that you no longer need to support the ego's thought system, because the ego and its judgments and self-judgments, none of them are real. Each step on the way, you're at your highest level of consciousness. Each step on your way, you're giving yourself life experience to become a more gentle, kinder, peaceful being. So gratitude is a proper response to your past self, not self-judgment. And again, when you start to buy into the idea of self-judgment, simply remember who you are. You're God's creation. You are love and only love. That's your only truth, is love. We have bought into the idea that we're something other than love. And so we're playing around with the ego's games of judgment and self-judgments. But little by little, we're understanding that we need these games no longer. We're children no longer. We can let them go. And we can unite with God and find peace. And understand the true power of forgiveness, that it lets go of all these illusions. And then once you let go of all these illusions, you don't even need forgiveness anymore, because you know there's nothing to forgive. Because you used it for a little while because you believed the illusions were real, and so it was useful for you then to let go of these illusions. But once you realize that these illusions are not real, that judgments and self-judgments are not real, there's no longer a need to use forgiveness. And so forgiveness itself drops away, and all that is left is love. And love's expressions: peace, joy, compassion, understanding. And that's what you are. That's your inheritance. That's what God gifted to you. That is your right to experience in every single moment. But we do have free will. And so it must be our choice to experience and unite with God in each and every moment to enjoy our inheritance. And so let us simply do that today. Let us start enjoying our inheritance, peace. And let us let go of all those illusions the ego plays in time, of judgments and self-judgments. They are no longer needed. We used them long enough to see that they got us nowhere. And so we forgive them. They dissolve. Then we do not use them anymore, and so forgiveness dissolves. And then we unite again with God, with the understanding that peace is available to us in every single moment. And so let us try that today. No longer feed judgments or self-judgments with your time, energy, and focus. Simply remind yourself that they are illusions and nothing else, that only the love in you is true. And so use forgiveness until you no longer need forgiveness. Use self-forgiveness until you no longer need self-forgiveness. Until you remember who you truly are, God's creation, love, and only love. Thank you very much for your time. I love you very much. If you'd be so kind as to like, comment, or share this video, it would help the listing process, and it can help somebody find this information who can use it someday. If you'd like to leave me a comment or a question, I would be delighted to try and offer a response. And if you can please subscribe to my YouTube channel, I would love to have you in that community. Again, thank you very much for your time. I love you very much, and God willing, we'll see each other tomorrow.